Maya and Ben start their careers on the exact same day, at the exact same company, with the exact same salary. Same cubicle row, same health insurance, same 401k match. 10 years from now, Ben is still going to be at his desk, still commuting, still setting an alarm for 6 a.m. Maya is going to be done. Not rich beyond belief, not lottery money, just done. Free to work if she wants to, not because she has to. Same income, same decades. One of them buys back 10 years of their own life, and the other one doesn't even notice the door was open. My name is Nick, and today we're looking at the one number that decides how long you work, and it's not your salary. Let's keep this fair, because that's the whole point. Maya and Ben make the same $40,000 a year straight out of school, and every raise they get over the next 3 decades lands on both of them at the exact same time in the exact same amount. Same expenses on paper too. Rent, car, groceries, the occasional night out. The only thing that's different between them is one decision made early and repeated quietly for years. Ben saves 10% of every paycheck. Maya saves 20%. That's it. That's the entire gap. Not a better job, not a lucky stock pick, not a rich uncle. 10 percentage points and nothing else. On paper, Ben's life looks more fun. He's got 10% more cash every single month to spend on things that make life feel good right now. Dinners out, a nicer apartment, a slightly newer car. Maya's version of the same decade looks a little tighter. She's not deprived exactly. She still has a life, but she feels that 20% leaving her account every time it happens. Ben would tell you he's living, and Maya's just being cautious. And for the first several years, that story holds up fine. Their balances both climb. Nobody's worried about anything. So let's actually define what's happening here, because the 10% gap looks small, and it is anything but. The number that matters in this whole story isn't your income, it's your savings rate, meaning the percentage of what you earn that you actually keep and invest instead of spend. And the reason that number is so brutally powerful is that it does 2 jobs at once. Every dollar you save is a dollar you're not spending today, and it's also a dollar working for you in the market starting today. Raise your savings rate, and you're pulling on both ends of the rope at the same time. Lower it, and you're loosening both ends without realizing it. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. There's a well-known relationship among people who study this, a rough rule connecting your savings rate directly to how many working years you need before your investments can support you for life. Save 10% of your income, and assuming reasonably normal market returns, you're looking at something like 51 years of work before your savings alone can carry you. Save 20%? That number doesn't drop by half. It drops all the way down to around 37 years. Push it to 50%, and you're out in under 17. The relationship isn't a straight line. It's a curve that gets steeper and steeper the higher you climb, which means small increases near the bottom barely move the needle. But every percentage point you add starts buying you disproportionately more freedom the higher you go. Let's put Maya and Ben on that curve. Ben, at 10%, is looking at roughly that 51-year runway. Maya, at 20%, cuts it down to around 37 years. Same salary, same raises, same market. A 14-year gap in working life created entirely by one number neither of them ever really talked about out loud. But maybe you're thinking, sure, but what if Ben just invests smarter, picks better funds, chases higher returns, makes up the difference that way? Reasonable thought. Let's test it. Say Ben somehow manages to earn 2 full percentage points more per year than Maya does, every single year for 30 years, which would already put him ahead of the vast majority of professional fund managers on the planet. Even with that edge, Ben still retires behind Maya because he's investing on a smaller base every month. He's trying to outdrive a car that never gets more gas by being a better driver. It helps a little. It does not close a 10-point gap in savings rate. The engine matters less than the size of the tank. Quick aside, this exact kind of number, the one hiding in plain sight that decides way more than people think, is the kind of thing we dig into constantly inside our school community. Links below if that's your thing. Totally skippable if not. Back to Maya and Ben. So why doesn't everyone just save 20%? Or 30% if the payoff is this dramatic? Because the math is patient, and human beings are not. Every raise Ben gets quietly turns into a slightly nicer version of the life he already has. Economists call this lifestyle inflation, and it's sneaky precisely because it never feels like a decision. Nobody sits down and says, I am going to spend every future dollar I earn. It just happens, one upgrade at a time. A bigger apartment because he can technically afford it now. A nicer car because the old one is a little embarrassing at this point in his career. Maya gets the same raises. The difference is she decided in advance where a fixed slice of every raise would go before her lifestyle had the chance to claim it. She's not more disciplined in the moment. She just moved the decision earlier, back to a version of herself who wasn't standing in front of the temptation. Let's make this concrete, because a percentage point is easy to wave away, and a dollar figure is not. On a $40,000 starting salary with typical raises over a career, Ben's 10% path puts him somewhere around $640,000 by year 30, enough to support a modest retirement if he keeps working those extra years to let it fully mature. Maya's 20% path, same salary, same raises, same market, has her crossing well past $1 million by year 25, a full 5 years before Ben even reaches his own number. She didn't earn more, she just left more of every dollar alone long enough to grow. Now, I'd be doing exactly what every finance account online does if I told you Ben's choice was simply wrong. It wasn't. Ben got 10 years of nicer dinners, a more comfortable apartment in his 20s, memories and experiences Maya quietly skipped so her money could compound instead. Those years matter too. Life isn't only a spreadsheet, and there's a real defensible version of choosing to enjoy more of your income while you're young and healthy enough to actually use it. The mistake isn't spending more than Maya. The mistake is not knowing the price tag attached to that choice, which is measured in years of your future life, not dollars. By year 20, the two lines have separated in a way you can feel. Ben looks at his balance and it's genuinely bigger than it was. He's not failing, he's just years behind a version of his own life where the math had more time to work. Maya, meanwhile, starts doing something strange. She stops checking whether she can afford to buy things and starts checking whether she can afford to stop working. That's the real marker of the gap. It was never about who has more money on a given day. It's about who reached the point where money stopped being the thing they had to think about first. So here's where Maya and Ben actually land. Same salary walking in the door on day one, same raises for 30 years, same market doing the same thing to both of their money. Ben worked the full 30 years and retired with enough. Maya crossed the same finish line at year 37 of her life, roughly a decade earlier than Ben, and spent that decade doing whatever she wanted, because she moved one number, one time, early enough for it to matter. And that's the real trap underneath this whole video. It was never about income versus savings or fun now versus freedom later. Ben and Maya both believed the thing that decides your future is how much you make. Maya, almost by accident, proved that the real lever was always how much you keep, and for how long you leave it alone. The trap is thinking a bigger paycheck is the shortcut, when the shortcut was sitting in a number most people never even calculate for themselves. So the next time someone tells you they'll start saving more once they get their next raise, ask them one question. What's your actual savings rate right now? Not your salary. Because the raise was never the finish line. The percentage was.